Once we are motivated to do something, we can say the brain goes through four main steps. We perceive, feel about, think, and plan what to do. And then we do it. If rewarded for the action, it may become a habit. But if we are afraid, we may feel trapped and fall into our lower nature, the survival mode. And those steps, in the same order, can turn into lies, selfishness, blame, or freeze, flight, fight. I give each step a widget name as seen above. Personality is formed from the inherited size of these widgets and other traits, and of how well the widgets learn to grow and do better or worse, and of course, how they are rewarded. Personality is a product of how well or strong any of the widgets become. Variations in strength of different widgets in different people creates different personalities, such as saints or bullies. Saints operate from the upper nature and bullies operate more from their lower nature, the survival mode. Dangerous dictators also do, but you have an advantage to stop them before bullies or political bullies get that much power. Let's see how bullies form. A child's conscious motivation to do good comes from parental love. To perceive good, to love rather than fear, to plan to do good, and calmly do good. The reward is love. But if a child is overwhelmed with fear, their alter ego, dragon, must interfere for survival, and if they feel it's necessary, they will lie, be selfish, blame others, or freeze, flight, or fight. A loved child may grow up to be a saint, and an abused child may become a bully. Let's look a little closer at why leaders, be they saints living in their upper nature or devils in their lower nature, are able to gain power. It's a combination of nature and nurture. Loving our children and teaching them to love can stop the formation of most bullies. But there will always be bullies because cultures and events and families are not perfect. Since bullies are rarely created from just DNA, babies are not born with overly strong lower natures, but some genetically can be more prone to become bullies from abusive parents, and learned fear can increase the numbers of bullies. But because there are so many nature and nurture factors involved in outcome, as many as there are grains of sand on the beaches, the probability law shows the probability of the percentage of bullies in a population of 44 or more people. The law of probability is a model from a pile of sand. If you make a pile of sand, what is the probability of any grain of sand landing in any particular part of the pile? The diagram above shows us the pile cut in half. Let's say each grain of sand is a person. If we test any human trait, such as ambition, intelligence, kindness, bulliness, and so on, and you pick 44 random people, their scores will fall along a distribution from 1 to 100. In a group of 44 random people, you can always find 7% or less of bullies of varying degree and the same amount of saints of varying degrees, with everyone else leaning one way or the other from the middle average. The more people there are, the greater are the extremes of saints or bullies. Which leads us to the next step. Why do bullies gain civic power? One trait, which I believe is more from genetics, is the male tendency of a ladder of status. Who is the toughest, such as the richest, possess the most stuff, the most women, or the best, fastest cars, and so on. Males are more subject to this than females, showing the difference even as small children. Women may also compete in their own status ladder, but usually it will be one of who is the most nurturing, and they may try and dominate through nurturance, the bossy little girl figure. They too will be spotted in the 44. In general, democracy, fairness, and equality originate from mammal and human mother love. They want to give all their offspring an equal chance of success and survival. Now let's look at the next step, which is more from nurture, how bullies can use status to get power. So can good guys get power, but bullies get an unfair advantage in the ladder of status? Theoretically, if there are, say, 10 guys in a group, one will be better at leading and or dominating. So bullies can often become the leader and have a right and left-hand man to back them up. Now, if you have 100 guys from 10 groups of 10 men, the leaders of each of these groups, 10 groups, make a new group. This group of 10 leaders will have one who is more dominant, and he becomes their leader, and this guy will have almost 1,000 followers. This goes on to form a leader from groups of 10,000 men to 100,000 men, 1,000,000 or more. Without democracy, this can result in a dictator. The farther up the top man is from the lowest men, the less he can perceive their needs, feel empathy for them, know how they think or act. Then their own fear of the unknown mob below can trap them in their lower nature, and they can become tyrants to better protect themselves and their status. Bullies gain an advantage over the saints in a lot of organizations because if a leader is fair and he wants all his followers to be happy, it will take considerably longer for their decisions to be made than a bully, because if he is fair, he wants to make sure all his followers are feeling good about his decisions. Bullies, being more detached from their followers, care less how they feel, and if there are no rules, regulations, or laws to slow them down, they can be faster at decisions and lie, cheat, and steal to give them an edge to fight to the top. The bully also will not understand the needs of women and has to cater to males' assistants. It can become a good old boy leadership with less and less empathy for women. How do we stop the bully process? The secret is how you define toughness in any status hierarchy. Would that be defined as a bully, a scholar, a gentleman, or defender of those below him? It's very important to give direction and values to those around you so that the consensus picks moral, fair, decent leaders. This is very important because Mother Nature did not put a ceiling on greed when to stop being selfish. The environment usually limits greed because of the short supply of resources. But with the elusive concept of money, the ceiling on greed keeps climbing, especially if the people below do nothing. The ceiling must be made by the majority, starting from the original 10 people who pick a leader to be in the next tier up of 10 out of 100, 10 out of 1,000 on up. Democracy or tyranny starts from the bottom up. Hey, you say, I can be great, but what about all those 8 or 9 others in my small group? I'm but one person. Well, this is where the law of probability comes in. Remember, most men are followers, and most people are looking for a leader. Give them your guidelines to look for that leader. Remember, if there are bullies, They have a lot of fear. They are weak. They cannot fight all of you. They are too afraid. So speak up, verbally stick together on your values of caring for others. And chances are, if there are 44 of you, especially if you are even complete strangers, the bullies are always in the minority. And the saints are also in the minority. But the average and those above will agree with you. And most of those below the average are looking up to go with the majority. This is why the independent voters often decide which candidate will win. They make up 60% of voters. If you are quiet and do not throw in your vote, the group drifts to the bullies, and those who challenge the bullies get smaller and smaller, giving the bullies more power.